We may soon see a whole lot more of Elon Musk here in Washington, D.C., as former President Trump outlined a government efficiency commission that Musk has agreed to lead, of course, if Trump is elected. He announced the program at the Economic Club of New York. Let's watch.
At the suggestion of Elon Musk, who has given me his complete and total endorsement. That's nice, 'cause he's a smart guy. He knows what he's doing. He knows what he's doing. It's very, very much appreciated. I will create a government efficiency commission tasked with conducting a complete financial and performance audit of the entire federal government and making recommendations for drastic reforms. We need to do it. Can't go on the way we are now. And Elon, because he's not very busy, has agreed to head that task force. Be interesting. If he has the time, it'll be a good one to do it, but he's agreed to do it. In 2022, fraud and improper payments alone cost taxpayers an estimated hundreds of billions of dollars. As the first order of business, this commission will develop an action plan to totally eliminate fraud and improper payments within 6 months. This will save trillions of dollars, trillions. It's massive. For the same service that you have right now, trillions of dollars is wasted and gone and nobody knows where it went. Further taming inflation and bringing prices way down.
The commission would take an aggressive swipe at regulations and would pledge to rescind certain unspent funds. The overarching goal would be to identify ways to eliminate fraud and improper payments. In response to the news, Musk tweeted, quote, "I look forward to serving America if the opportunity arises. No pay, no title, no recognition is needed." And in a separate tweet, he wrote, quote, "This would unlock tremendous prosperity for America." So what do you think, Jessica? Elon Musk joining the government, or I guess being some kind of advisor, and a new commission, the Government Efficiency Commission?
Yeah, I think it's a little funny to me that the party that rails against, I guess it's not the whole party, it's mostly Donald Trump, that rails against the bureaucracy is planning on expanding it to rein in the bureaucracy.
Oh,
that's exactly how the bureaucracy grows. We have so many different divisions of government that are tasked with doing this. So I don't know where they think they're going to find the personnel to do it. I don't think Elon Musk particularly has experience with auditing or accounting or finance. That's not exactly his background. So the idea that he's the person tasked with doing this, I just don't think it's a good fit. As Trump points out, he's got a lot of free time. Does he really, as the head of SpaceX and Tesla? I mean, he posts on Twitter a ton, or on X a ton. So it seems like he has a lot of free space. So is he just a figurehead of these companies? He wouldn't want us to believe that. I think Elon Musk is a bit of a phony, but I think something like this is good. Some restructuring of the budgeting process. It's definitely something that's going to have to get passed through Congress. There's no reason it shouldn't originate in Congress, but I do appreciate when someone uses their, I don't know, media presence as the head of state, as the executive commander in chief, to bring attention to something that does need to get passed legislatively, because there is this issue where funds are allocated to different divisions of government and they find some silly use for the funds so that they don't have their budget cut in coming years. Because if they see that there's unused funds, Congress will allocate less in the next year. There needs to be some kind of audit to ensure that the public dollars going to these divisions are not inflationary, are not allocated when they're not putting real productive resources to use. That's good. Do we need Elon Musk and a whole commission and new division of the alphabet soup of bureaucracy to get it done? That's what I maybe disagree with here.
You're right. I mean, it shouldn't be the case that Congress allocates funds and then if they don't need as much as they were given, that you have to spend them. Once they're allocated, they have to be spent. I think that's ridiculous. And, you know, the Pentagon hasn't passed an audit in 20 years, but I disagree with the idea that because they're creating a commission, that means they're expanding the bureaucracy. I mean, Trump has been pretty much the only candidate running for president in the past 8 years that has talked at all about making sure unelected bureaucrats are not doing the bulk of policymaking in the federal government. He has proposed this plan with Schedule F that would have made it easier to get rid of civil servants who are not helping with the administration's agenda, that would rein in some of these unelected bureaucrats doing rulemaking. Recently at the Supreme Court, we had the court overturn Chevron deference, which was a great thing for the American people, as you have so-called experts in government administrations who really don't know anything about the topic that they are creating rules for, doing the job of Congress, which is to write specific and detailed legislation. Instead, Congress has been punting on its responsibility, intentionally making things vague, and then outsourcing the interpretation to the federal rulemakers. And then the courts, for a long time, since Chevron deference was introduced, have basically had the benefit of the doubt that their interpretation of the legislation is correct. So I think all of those things are really great for democracy in general, for returning power to the American people. Even if you don't appreciate the way that Trump wants to do it, I think bare minimum you have to say that he is the only candidate who has actually talked about making sure that people who are coming in with an administration are there to do the work and do the job and getting rid of some of the unnecessary fat. We haven't seen that from pretty much any other campaign that's tried to tackle this in a really serious way.
Yeah, I think it goes without saying that you expect the people in government to be doing their jobs, and if they don't, they should be fired. I don't think a candidate needs to run on the government should function, but Trump could have drained the swamp a little bit when he was in public office. He didn't take much significant action to rein in the bureaucracy. And the bureaucracy are the federal, different parts of the government. You have the Department of Homeland Security, the various government departments that he talks about, the Department of Energy, the Department of Education. He seems to want to end the most popular ones, the Department of Education, the idea that we should somehow defund the federal arm of public education, and that will make education, I don't know, better in the United States. But not questioning the Fed or the Treasury or how they operate or the inefficiencies there. It just feels like it's lip service to talk about an issue when it would be expanding it to create a new commission at the higher level that could turn into a department. That is more bureaucrats. Those are federal government employees. And just because he would house them within the cabinet doesn't make it any less bureaucratic. Who is he going to hire to do the actual auditing work? Those are going to be bureaucrats. Those are going to be federal employees. That would be an expansion of the bureaucracy. And so I would love to believe that Donald Trump will get in there and make sure it gets done. I don't think that he will. And I don't think that Elon Musk would be the guy to do it. I don't even think they'd know where to start. And if they did, I think he would have started it day one in office in 2016 because his number one promise was to drain the swamp. And we just didn't see that happen.
Well, political appointees by definition are not part of the bureaucracy, but then I would agree with you to some extent that he should have done more on this in his first term. There were plans actually to implement Schedule F during the second term with Johnny McEntee at the head of the PPO, but obviously he didn't win re-election, so that plan was scrapped. But he did expose a lot in terms of the Department of Justice and the FBI and their weaponization of their political investigations, cleaning house of some of the individuals who had lied on FISA warrants to spy on members of his campaign and pushed circular confirmation of things related to Crossfire Hurricane through the media. But of course, I would have liked to see more on that. A lot of the reason for that is because Trump didn't pick good people the first time around, and as much as he said he picks the best people, that wasn't right for his first term in office. He very much relied too much on the Washington establishment and the Republican establishment to staff his administration, and he ended up with a lot of people who were actively working against his agenda, even though they were supposed to be political appointees who were helping to enact that agenda. And that was something that unfortunately hamstrung him throughout basically his entire term. I think he still accomplished a fair amount, but when it comes to taking on government bloat, you absolutely have to have true believers on board with you who are willing to take the hard steps to do that, even if it doesn't seem popular up front. So that's where I would definitely agree with you that I don't think he did enough in his first term to take on the quote-unquote swamp.
Yeah, I think everyone who sees the federal government and the bureaucracy running inefficiently and budgeting done by Congress in a way that's a little bit backwards, I think you should pay attention to this next tax fight. We're going to have a total restructuring of the tax code. Pay attention to the next congressional budget fight. I'm going to be doing a ton of coverage on it. I'm sure this show will run coverage on it. But really, the way you put pressure on that is you call your elected officials. They have people writing down what their constituents say and what they call about. And if they get a flood of calls about something, they absolutely fear losing re-election, and they will change their tune. It's happened before in tax fights. It's happened with the good reporting done by The Intercept around the CFPB's creation. And so you might think only electing someone like who's speaking about it to the highest office, to the presidency, is the way to make change. But actually, if you really care about it, call your elected officials during these fights. And when the Congress is doing their budgeting, it will actually make a difference.
That's going to do it for us this week on Rising. Jess, always a pleasure.
Yes, another Rising Fridays wrapped up. We didn't coordinate our outfits today, but we're close.
Yeah, we've got some, cool tone sort of pastel kind of things going on. All right, be sure to like, share, and subscribe so you never miss any content. And for those of you who like to listen while on the go, we are now available anywhere you listen to podcasts.
Bye, y'all.